country where dying is literally illegal, where women are ordered to share beds with soldiers, where prisoners live better than most people's vacation resorts. In Norway 2025, the rules get stranger. Towns where death is forbidden, villages proudly called hell, and toilets designed like million-dollar architectural wonders. The truth will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Norway. One. The strangest laws on the planet. It's in the frozen Arctic town of Norwegian. Something extraordinary is happening. Dead bodies cannot be buried there. The permafrost keeps the ground frozen solid year-round, which means corpses never decompose. Scientists discovered that bodies buried decades ago remain perfectly preserved, along with any diseases they carried. This created serious concerns about dormant pathogens potentially reactivating. The solution? Death is essentially forbidden in Norwegian. When someone becomes terminally ill, they're transported to mainland Norway to spend their final days. The local cemetery stopped accepting new burials in 1950, and today it stands as a frozen monument to this bizarre necessity. But the Arctic madness doesn't stop there. Visitors must carry rifles for protection against polar bears. Yet searching for polar bears on purpose is completely illegal. You need the gun in case you meet one, but you cannot go looking for one. Break this rule and face serious criminal charges. Back on mainland Norway, the legal oddities continue. Wearing masks is perfectly legal any normal day. But wear one during a protest or public gathering? That's a crime. The only exception: theatrical performances and costume parties. So you can dress as a superhero at a rally, but not wear a medical mask. The naming laws are equally peculiar. Parents cannot give their child a name that authorities deem disadvantageous for the child's future. More surprisingly, if a family surname has fewer than 200 living bearers, you need written permission from every single one of them before using it for your child. One boy's parents tried naming him Sonic X after the video game character. The government rejected it, ruling the child was too young to understand the implications and the name lacked any logical connection to Norwegian culture. Speaking of unusual, wait until you hear about the Norwegian town that proudly calls itself hell, and the bizarre things that happen there every single day. 2. Norway is the home of hell and stranger things. Hell Village exists, and Norwegians love the joke. Every winter, locals announce that hell has frozen over. The post office stamps thousands of postcards with hell in bold letters. Tourists flock here just to say they've been to hell and back. The town even hosts an annual music festival called Blues in Hell, where bands perform surrounded by Norwegian death metal fans. But hell is just the beginning of Norway's bizarre traditions. Smalahove might be the most shocking dish in Europe. It's a sheep's head served whole on your plate. The eyes and ears are considered the best parts. Norwegians serve this at Christmas, calling it a test of courage and respect for their ancestors. Tourists often faint at the sight. Locals eat it with pride. The art world has rosemailing, a painting style from the 1700s that covers everything in swirling flowers. Norwegians paint these patterns on walls, furniture, even cars. Master painters pass the skill through generations like a sacred ritual. Museums dedicate entire wings to wooden spoons covered in painted roses. During winter, Julebukking takes over villages. People dress as goats, wear terrifying masks, and invade neighbors' homes demanding food and drinks. This tradition mixes ancient pagan rituals with Christmas celebrations. Children scream, adults laugh, and everyone pretends a goat person breaking into your house is perfectly normal. Village dances called Bathe dance have continued for 600 years without stopping. The Gangar and Springar involve spinning until dizzy while playing fiddles. Young Norwegians now mix these ancient moves with electronic music in Oslo clubs. The Tuvis Blad Club collective performs traditional throat singing over techno beats to packed dance floors. Would you dare to try the unique flavor of a sheep's head dish or participate in any traditional Norwegian activities? If so, comment with a 7 before we explore how the sleeping arrangements will blow your mind. 3. All the girls in Norway sleep with the soldiers. Norway made history in 2015 with a radical military decision. Both men and women must serve in the armed forces. But here's the shocking part. They share everything. Barracks, showers, and yes, even bedrooms. Male and female soldiers sleep in the same rooms, sometimes just feet apart. No dividers, no separate quarters, just young men and women living together like it's a college dorm. The military calls this equality in action. Soldiers report that after the first week, gender becomes irrelevant. They're all just soldiers. Women say sharing quarters with men makes them feel more included, not less safe. This equality opens up another interesting title for the country. Sexual satisfaction surveys regularly rank Norway at the top globally. International researchers sometimes joke about Norway being the world's orgasm capital. If you think this equality is awesome, comment awesome and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and watch our next video for more unique information around the world. 4. Prisoner's Paradise. Norwegian prisons look like 5-star resorts, and that's not an exaggeration. Halden Prison spent $252 million creating what might be the world's most luxurious detention center. Every cell has a flat-screen TV, mini fridge, and designer furniture. The windows have no bars. Prisoners can walk freely around the grounds during the day. They work regular jobs, earning normal wages. Some inmates run the prison's recording studio. Others work in the auto shop or bicycle repair center. The prison has a professional gym that would cost hundreds per month in membership fees outside. There's a music studio where inmates form bands and record albums. The library looks like a university study center. Prisoners get vocational training in everything from cooking to computer programming. They can even take university courses online. Guards don't carry weapons. They eat meals with prisoners and play sports together. The philosophy is simple. Treat people like humans, and they'll act like humans. In fact, Norway has Europe's lowest reoffending rate at just 20%. Compare that to America's 68%. Some criminals allegedly commit crimes specifically to enjoy a comfortable prison life. This approach to punishment seems insane until you see what Norway spends money on next. They're building architectural masterpieces for the most unexpected purpose. 5. The toilet is a tourist attraction. Norway spent $2.1 million building a single public toilet. The Uredplassen facility along the Helgeland coast became an international sensation when it opened in 2018. Made of frosted glass and concrete, it curves like a wave against the fjord backdrop. Architects designed it to frame perfect views of the midnight sun. People travel hundreds of miles just to use this bathroom and post photos on Instagram. But that's just one of many architectural toilet wonders. At Ørsfjord Stranda, the Goldassen toilet rises 5.5 meters high, like a crystal erupting from the earth. The structure mimics surrounding mountain peaks with geometric precision. The door is painted shocking red, the only splash of color in the stark white landscape. Visitors often spend more time photographing the toilet than using it. The Tarvjorda toilet along the Hardanger route looks like something from a fantasy movie. Built from local pine tree trunks, it appears to float under a concrete roof that copies the geological cracks in nearby cliffs. Completed in 2022, it includes a full outdoor picnic area with panoramic fjord views. The wheelchair-accessible design won multiple international architecture awards. These toilets aren't accidents or wealthy eccentrics showing off. The Norwegian government officially funds these projects through their National Tourist Routes program. They believe beautiful toilets enhance the travel experience and show respect for visitors. Each facility becomes a destination itself, with tour buses scheduling stops specifically to see them. 6. The sun does not rise for months. The town of Arjukan sits in a valley so deep that mountains block all sunlight from September to March. For 6 months every year, 3,400 residents live in permanent shadow. The sun rises and sets, but the town never sees it. This darkness drove people to depression and illness for generations. In 2013, engineers installed 3 giant mirrors on the mountainside. Each mirror measures 17 square meters. Computer systems track the sun and adjust the mirrors every 10 seconds. They reflect a beam of sunlight into the town square, creating a patch of brightness 600 square meters wide. Residents gather in this artificial sunshine like moths to a flame, some crying from joy at feeling warmth on their faces. Further north in Svalbard, the situation gets more extreme. Longyearbyen experiences true polar night for 113 days. From mid-November to late January, the sun never rises above the horizon. Not even a glimpse. Total darkness, except for a few hours of dim twilight at midday. Street lights stay on constantly. Children go to school in darkness and return home in darkness. Yet life continues normally. Norwegians throw festivals during the darkest periods. They ski using headlamps. They hold concerts in the permanent night. The northern lights dance overhead, providing natural entertainment. When asked about the darkness, locals shrug. They've adapted so completely that many claim to prefer the polar night to summer's midnight sun. This isolation from natural light might explain the next peculiar aspect of Norwegian behavior that visitors find deeply unsettling. 7. Norwegians are extremely isolated. Step onto a Norwegian bus and witness something bizarre. Every person sits alone, leaving empty seats between themselves and others. Even when the bus fills up, Norwegians would rather stand than sit directly next to a stranger. They call this comfortable distance, but visitors call it weird. And elevators become torture chambers of silence. Norwegians stare at their phones, the floor, anywhere but at other people. Speaking to strangers in public is considered aggressive. Small talk doesn't exist. Asking someone how their day is going might cause panic. This isn't rudeness but a deep cultural need for personal space that borders on extreme. The isolation extends beyond physical space. Norway has nearly 200,000 registered Muslims, making Islam the second largest religion. Yet mosques often sit separate from main communities. Integration happens slowly. Public surveys show complex attitudes, with acceptance improving since 2017, but tensions rising after international conflicts. The government funds religious communities equally, but social mixing remains limited. Office culture reflects this isolation. Colleagues might work together for years without knowing basic personal information about each other. Lunch breaks are eaten alone. After work socializing is rare. Norwegians have a word, arbeidsro, meaning work peace. It means leaving people alone to do their jobs without unnecessary interaction. Comment number 8. If you're still watching this video, and I'm going to reveal something that most people don't even know exists. 8. Norway has a land border with Russia. The Norway-Russia border stretches 120 miles through Arctic wilderness. Most people can't believe Norway and Russia are neighbors. The Storskog crossing on the E105 motorway is Europe's northernmost road border. In 2017, Norway spent millions building a new tunnel and bridge to speed up border crossings, expecting increased traffic that never came. Yellow posts mark the Norwegian side while red and green stripes mark Russia's. The border runs through dense forest and along frozen rivers. Hikers who accidentally step past the markers face arrest. Border guards on both sides use thermal cameras and motion sensors. One wrong turn during a nature walk could trigger an international incident. The border creates surreal situations. Norwegians drive to Russia to buy cheap gasoline. Russians cross into Norway to buy quality electronics in Kirkenes. The same person might cross the border twice in one day, shopping for different products in each country. Local residents need special permits to live near the border. They undergo background checks and agree to restrictions on their movements. Some families have lived there for generations, watching global politics play out in their backyard. 9. Norwegians love to bathe in snow in winter. Every winter morning, thousands of Norwegians strip naked and jump into frozen lakes. The water temperature hovers around 32 degrees Fahrenheit. They cut holes in the ice just big enough to plunge through. After swimming, they roll in snow before running to saunas. This isn't a dare or punishment. They do this for fun and health. Medical studies from Norwegian universities claim cold water swimming boosts immune systems, improves circulation, and reduces depression. Norwegians swear by it. They have clubs dedicated to ice bathing. Children as young as 5 participate. Elderly people in their 80s regularly take ice plunges. They believe cold water brings luck and longevity. Coffee consumption reaches insane levels. Norwegians drink 11.4 kilograms of coffee per person annually. That's 4 cups every single day for every adult. Coffee breaks are legally protected work rights. Employers must provide coffee and time to drink it. Most Norwegians drink it black, considering milk and sugar as weakness. They'll judge you for ordering a frappuccino. Alcohol follows strict control. The government owns all liquor stores, called Vinmonopolet. They close at 6 p.m. on weekdays, 3 p.m. on Saturdays, and never open Sundays. Over 4.7% alcohol can't be sold in supermarkets. A bottle of vodka costs $40 minimum. Yet Norwegians have mastered home brewing and weekend binge drinking that would shock Prohibition-era America. The real addiction is snus, moist tobacco placed under the upper lip. More Norwegians use snus daily than smoke cigarettes. Young professionals openly pack snus during business meetings. Athletes use it during competitions. Parents use it at playgrounds. The tobacco sits against their gums for hours, delivering steady nicotine without smoke. 10. The first country in the world to ban FM radio. In 2017, Norway killed FM radio completely. Every national FM transmitter went dark. Millions of radios became worthless overnight. The government forced everyone to buy new DAB digital radios or lose access to national stations. No other country has attempted this massive forced switch. The decision caused chaos. Older cars couldn't receive radio signals. Emergency broadcasts couldn't reach everyone. Rural areas lost reception entirely. 2/3 of Norwegians opposed the switch, but the government proceeded anyway. They claimed digital radio was the future and Norway would lead the world. Local stations received exemptions, keeping FM alive in small pockets. Politicians debated bringing FM back, but digital advocates won. As of 2025, national FM remains dead. Tourists driving through Norway discovered their car radios are useless. Emergency services had to develop new warning systems. Some remote areas still have no radio access at all. 11. The colonel of the Norwegian King's Guard is a Scottish penguin. Brigadier Sir Nils Olav IE holds an official rank in the Norwegian military. He inspects troops, receives medals, and has a military salary. He's also a king penguin living in Edinburgh Zoo. This isn't a joke or publicity stunt. The Norwegian King's Guard takes this completely seriously. They fly to Scotland for official ceremonies where a penguin reviews their formation. The tradition started in 1972 when the regiment adopted the first Nils Olav. Since then, 3 penguins have held the title, each promoted through the ranks. The current Nils Olav received his knighthood in 2008. King Harald V of Norway approved the appointment personally. The penguin has a sword which zoo staff hold during ceremonies while he waddles past, saluting soldiers. Military officials defend this arrangement without irony. They claim Nils Olav boosts morale and represents the regiment's connection to Scotland. The penguin appears on official military documents. His promotion ceremonies follow strict protocol. Soldiers stand at attention while a bird inspects their uniforms. Some have served under multiple penguins throughout their careers. 12. They split the bill during the day. They go on a date in Norway and prepare for shock. When the bill arrives, your date will calculate their exact portion down to the penny. Men paying for women is considered insulting. Women paying for men is equally offensive. Everyone pays for exactly what they consumed, nothing more, nothing less. Romance doesn't override mathematics. This extends beyond dating. Groups of friends dining together request separate bills before ordering. Colleagues celebrating birthdays split costs evenly, including the birthday person. Married couples often maintain separate bank accounts and split household expenses precisely. Some use apps to track who paid for groceries last week. The equality obsession shapes parenting too. Fathers must take at least 15 weeks of parental leave or lose it entirely. The government forces men to be stay-at-home dads. Since 1993, this father's quota has reshaped Norwegian families. Men pushing strollers during workdays is completely normal. Dads dominate playgrounds on weekday afternoons. Tipping barely exists. Servers earn living wages around $20 per hour minimum. Menu prices include service. Leaving extra money confuses staff. They might chase you down thinking you forgot your change. Card machines sometimes ask about tips, but selecting zero causes no awkwardness. In rural areas, attempting to tip can cause offense, implying the server looks poor. This financial independence makes sense until you learn about America's strange Norwegian connection that most people never realized existed. Routine. Minnesota is the unofficial capital of Norway in the United States. More Norwegians live in Minnesota than in Bergen, Norway's second-largest city. Today, 868,000 Minnesotans claim Norwegian ancestry. That's 16% of the state's population. Minneapolis has Mindekirken, a church that still conducts services entirely in Norwegian. The Norwegian royal family visits regularly. They treat it like an official state building. Next door, Norway House serves as a cultural embassy. The connection runs deeper than heritage. Minnesota's climate, landscape, and culture mirror Norway. Both have harsh winters, thousands of lakes, and traditions of stoic independence. Minnesotans eat lutefisk at Christmas, though most admit they hate it. They celebrate 17. Mai bigger than some Norwegian cities do. Norwegian businesses target Minnesota specifically. Norse Atlantic Airways launched direct flights from Minneapolis to Oslo. Norwegian companies open U.S. headquarters in Minnesota, not New York or Los Angeles. The Minnesota Vikings NFL team isn't coincidentally named. The connection is so strong that Norway's former prime minister called Minnesota the Norwegian state of America. Speaking of celebrations, Norway has festivals that make other countries' events look boring and conventional. 14. Norway loves weird festivals. Every March, thousands gather in the Lofoten Islands for the World Cod Fishing Championship. Competitors sail into Arctic waters to catch the biggest cod. The winner gets crowned cod king or queen. Losers must listen to speeches about fish for hours. The festival includes cod liver oil tasting competitions and children's events. Tromsø transforms its main street into a reindeer racetrack during Sami Week. Actual reindeer sprint through downtown while thousands cheer. The animals wear numbers like horses at the Kentucky Derby. Antlers run behind them, yelling in Sami languages. Tourists scatter as reindeer occasionally break free and charge into crowds. City officials close businesses and schools for reindeer racing. The Ellison builds the world's largest bonfire every June for Slinningsballet. They stack wood pallets 40 meters high, requiring cranes and engineers. The fire burns so hot it melts cars parked too close. In 2010, they set the Guinness World Record at 40.45 meters. The fire department stands ready with boats since the tower could theoretically fall and set the town ablaze. But nothing compares to Russafering, when graduating teenagers go insane for a month. They buy old buses, name them ridiculous things, and drive around drunk for weeks. They wear colored overalls that can't be washed until graduation. Red for general studies, blue for business, black for vocational. They complete challenges like spending a night in a tree or crawling through supermarkets barking like dogs. These festivals showcase Norwegian creativity, but their food choices reveal something even more disturbing about Nordic culture. 15. Strange food choices. Cod tongue is considered a delicacy for children. Norwegian parents feed their kids the tongues of fish as treats. The tongues are breaded, freed, and served at school cafeterias. Children trade them like candy. Adults reminisce about grandmother's cod tongue recipe. Restaurants charge premium prices for what most countries would throw away. Reindeer meat appears everywhere. Norwegians eat Rudolph without hesitation. They serve it smoked, dried, sautéed, and raw. Reindeer pizza is standard at Pizza Hut. McDonald's tested a reindeer burger. The meat is lean, gamey, and costs more than beef. Norwegians insist it tastes like Christmas, which seems unnecessarily dark. Brunost, or brown cheese, isn't actually cheese. It's caramelized whey that looks like brown soap and tastes like salty caramel. Norwegians eat it daily for breakfast. They put it on waffles with jam. Every household has a cheese slicer specifically designed for brunost. Foreigners usually spit it out immediately, but Norwegians consider it essential to their identity. Lutefisk remains the most controversial dish. They soak dried cod in lye, the same chemical used to dissolve dead bodies. The fish turns into translucent jelly that smells like cleaning products. It's traditionally served at Christmas, though surveys show most Norwegians hate it. They eat it anyway, because tradition demands suffering. Restaurants require advance notice to prepare it because the smell evacuates buildings. What surprised you most about these Norway realities? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to discover more shocking truths about countries that seem ordinary on the surface, make sure to subscribe for more eye-opening documentaries that reveal what guidebooks never dare to mention. A country where considered bathing a sin, where women practiced walking marriages with as many partners as they wished, and the bride kidnapping tradition will leave you speechless. This is Mongolia, a land of frozen festivals, sacred mountains, and traditions so unbelievable they'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about culture and survival. Mongolia once ruled the largest empire in human history, stretching farther than even Russia does today. And at the center of this story is none other than Genghis Khan. Under his leadership, Mongol warriors expanded across continents with unmatched speed and strategy. But in those times, bathing was not just rare, it was forbidden. People believed that water disturbed the sacred balance of the earth and angered the gods. So warriors could go months, even years, without a proper wash. Clothes were worn until they literally fell apart, only shaken out to drop lice onto the ground. And the stronger the odor, the more blessed you were believed to be. If Genghis Khan gave you his sweat-soaked, lice-infested clothes, you would wear them with pride. It wasn't just clothing, it was a symbol of divine favor. Could you go without a bath for a day, or even months, like the ancient Mongols did? Comment yes or no. Today, Mongolia has left most of these customs behind, but in some remote areas, echoes of this tradition can still be found. And leaving behind Mongolia's ancient warrior past, we now arrive at its bustling capital, Ulaanbaatar. It is the largest capital city in the world in terms of surface area. Yet despite its size, it has one of the lowest population densities on Earth, with barely 2 people per square kilometer. Therefore, 99.7% of the land area here is uninhabited, which means the probability of encountering other people is very low. Winters in Ulaanbaatar can plunge to -30 degrees Celsius, or about -22 degrees Fahrenheit. But at the same time, Mongolia is called the land of the blue sky, blessed with more than 260 days of sunshine each year. That means you could experience bone-freezing temperatures under a crystal-clear, brilliant sky. So what's life as a nomad in Mongolia really like? You'll be surprised by what we're about to reveal. But first, don't forget to support us by liking the video, subscribing to our channel, and turning on notifications. Imagine waking up each morning inside a round felt tent called a gyre, or yurt. The first thing you notice is the crisp mountain air drifting in as sunlight filters through the roof opening. Families gather around a small wood-burning stove to prepare breakfast, usually simple dairy products from their herds. But this is no ordinary lifestyle. For centuries, Mongolians have lived on the move, following the seasons in search of fresh pastures for their animals. Everything they own can be packed onto camels or horses and moved within hours. One of the most astonishing is what's known as the walking marriage, preserved among the Moshuo people of Mongolian origin. After a young woman comes of age, she is free to choose her lovers, sometimes many over her lifetime. But here's the twist. These couples never live together. Children are raised within the mother's household, with brothers and uncles stepping in as father figures. Why such a custom? In a world where men often face dangerous journeys while hunting or exploring new lands, it was not uncommon for them to disappear or perish. Walking marriages gave women control, ensuring the survival of families even when men could not return. To this day, the Moshuo are sometimes called the Kingdom of Women, a society where mothers hold extraordinary power. What do you think about the Moshuo's walking marriage tradition? Comment number 3 below if you want to experience life in the Kingdom of Women. From powerful empires to walking marriages, Mongolia's history is full of surprising traditions. And you won't believe your eyes with the next tradition. For centuries, it was considered acceptable for a man to simply take the woman he wished to marry. He would seize her, sometimes with the help of friends or family, and bring her to his home. Once there, the marriage ceremony would be performed, often against the woman's will. This ritual may sound unthinkable today, but in the past it was woven deeply into Mongolian warrior culture. Strength and dominance were admired traits, and abducting a bride was seen as proof of a man's determination. Today, the practice is illegal in Mongolia, and in modern cities it has largely disappeared. If bride kidnapping showed us the darker echoes of the past, then eagle hunting reveals the majestic side of Mongolia's traditions. In the remote Altai Mountains, hunters train golden eagles, massive birds with wingspans stretching over 2 meters, to catch foxes, hares, and even wolves. This practice goes back thousands of years, passed from father to son, and it is considered one of the highest honors in Mongolian culture. The hunters treat their birds almost like family, feeding them carefully, protecting them, and even releasing them back into the wild after years of partnership. Every hunt becomes a dance between humans and birds. And if that weren't unique enough, Mongolia also celebrates its warrior spirit every summer in the Naadam festival. This isn't your average fair, it's a competition rooted in the 3 manly sports: wrestling, archery, and horse racing. But don't be fooled by the name. Women now compete too, and children as young as 5 ride in races that stretch for kilometers across the open steppe. The atmosphere is a dazzling mix of color, music, and tradition, a living echo of Mongolia's nomadic heritage. And right after those vibrant festivals, you'll step into a ritual where even the tiniest mistake could accidentally offend the entire host family. When offered a cup, a man must kneel on both knees, bow his head, and extend both hands with deep respect. An unmarried girl follows the same ritual, but once married, a woman kneels on only one knee while raising her right hand. And for a newlywed bride, there's yet another layer: she must add a chant blessing the moment with her voice. Mongolians believe that if you sip half-heartedly, you are cursing their livestock and disrespecting their home. To avoid this, hosts will refill your cup again and again until they're convinced you've shown enough enthusiasm. For many visitors, this has led to drinking far beyond their limits, sometimes with serious consequences. Yet refusing outright would mean offending the entire family. The drinking customs also extend to the new year, when the first cup of tea is poured outside, sprinkled to the 4 directions as an offering to the spirits. Instead of using water, some families wash their dishes with horse milk to purify the home for the year ahead. That's the drinking rule, so are you curious about what's served on the table? Mongolian cuisine will take you from one surprise to another. The traditional diet is simple but powerful, built around meat, dairy, and seasonal vegetables. In the winter markets of Ulaanbaatar, you'll find thick yak wool clothing alongside steaming bowls of soup and dumplings, all designed to keep people warm against the bitter cold. But beyond these staples lie dishes and drinks that are truly unlike anything else in the world. Take Mongolian ice cream, for example. It's said to have been invented when warriors mixed snow with mare's milk after a long desert battle, creating a refreshing treat that's still enjoyed today. And then there's something that leaves many outsiders speechless: sheep's eye juice. Yes, you heard that right. This traditional drink is made with tomato juice, vinegar, and sheep's eyes, believed to be a powerful cure for hangovers after a night of heavy celebration. To locals, it's not a dare, it's a trusted remedy that restores strength and energy. But sometimes, Mongolian hospitality extends even further than offering a meal or a drink. In fact, in some communities, the welcome for a guest could be far more intimate and far more surprising. In some of the coldest regions, where temperatures can drop to life-threatening lows, a host might offer his own daughter to sleep beside the guest, not as an invitation to intimacy, but as a way to keep them alive through the bitter night. To share warmth with another person is considered the ultimate act of trust and generosity. For the host, this gesture means you are not just a visitor, you are family. The daughter's presence symbolizes loyalty, respect, and protection. And to decline such an offer could be seen as an insult, a rejection of their deepest values of kinship. And if you think that's astonishing, wait until you see how entire communities gather on frozen lakes in the dead of winter, turning ice into the stage for one of Mongolia's most extraordinary celebrations. The most famous of these gatherings takes place on Lake Kovsgol, a vast body of water that freezes several meters deep, creating a natural stadium of ice. Here, locals host skating races, tug-of-war matches on slippery surfaces, archery contests in the wind, and even horseback rides across the frozen lake. It's a spectacle of courage and resilience, proving that for Mongolians, even the coldest conditions can become a reason to celebrate. But the most unforgettable moments are the shamanic fire rituals performed directly on the ice. Massive bonfires burn against the backdrop of a frozen landscape, flames roaring while the temperature hovers well below freezing. Families gather around, chanting and offering prayers for strength and good fortune, creating an atmosphere that feels both mystical and otherworldly. And the irony is striking. These festivals are meant to welcome spring, even though spring here still means temperatures that would freeze most of us to the bone. For Mongolians, though, surviving another brutal winter is reason enough for joy. Yet while these ice festivals are breathtaking, Mongolia holds another paradox, a treasure worth trillions, that has left many wondering why so many people here still live in poverty. This country sits on one of the world's largest reserves of gold, copper, and coal, resources valued in the trillions of dollars. By all logic, Mongolia should be one of the richest nations on Earth. Yet reality tells a very different story. Nearly 40% of the population lives below the poverty line. In Ulaanbaatar, luxury mansions and imported sports cars exist side by side with shanty towns where families live in makeshift yurts without electricity or running water. The wealth from massive mining operations often flows into the hands of foreign companies and a small elite, leaving ordinary Mongolians with little to show for the riches beneath their feet. The irony is painful. Many of those struggling today are former nomads who lost their ancestral grazing lands to mining projects. Unable to maintain their traditional way of life, they moved to the city outskirts, where harsh winters forced them to huddle in poor housing, sometimes even in underground sewers to escape the deadly cold. But while Mongolia's economic wealth remains uneven, the nation protects something even more valuable to its spirit, sacred mountains that no amount of money can buy or mine. For Mongolians, the land is not just soil and stone, it is sacred. Among the most powerful symbols of this belief are the mountains, some of which are considered so holy that even approaching them without permission can be forbidden. These are not just geographic landmarks. They are living beings, guardians of weather, livestock, and destiny itself. Take Mount Burkhan Khaldun, for example, believed to be the birthplace of Genghis Khan. Legends say that spirits dwell within its peaks, watching over the nation. Pilgrims climb carefully marked routes to leave offerings of milk, silk, or stones, circling sacred cairns known as ovus while chanting prayers. The entire mountain range is off limits to mining, logging, or even loud noises. Breaking these taboos is believed to anger the spirits, bringing misfortune to families or entire communities. The reverence is so strong that modern Mongolian law protects many of these sites. In fact, satellite images of certain sacred areas are deliberately blurred to keep them hidden from outsiders. And this spiritual protection has unintentionally created havens for animals like snow leopards and gobi bears, where people cannot disturb the land, wildlife thrives. But beyond ecology, these mountains represent something deeper. They remind Mongolians of their roots, of traditions older than any empire. They stand as natural temples where ceremonies have been performed for over 1,000 years, connecting the present to the ancestors who once roamed the same valleys and ridges. And even though many of these peaks sit atop untapped mineral deposits worth billions, Mongolia has chosen to leave them untouched. For Mongolians, the mountains are priceless. Yet, beyond the stillness of the mountains and forests, the Mongols created a messaging system so fast that before the enemy could even strike, the news had already traveled thousands of miles. Imagine trying to deliver a simple letter across a country where 99% of the land is empty steppe, mountains, or desert, and where most of the population is constantly moving with their herds. That's Mongolia. And yet, for centuries, this challenge has been overcome by one of the most extraordinary postal systems in the world. It all began with Genghis Khan, who established the Yam, a network of relay stations that connected his empire from Europe to Asia. Messengers would ride at full speed, switching horses at each station so that news could travel faster than ever before. Amazingly, echoes of this system still exist today. To reach nomadic families scattered across Mongolia's vast wilderness, postal workers rely not on trucks or drones, but on horses. More than 50,000 are used across 1,400 relay points, making the system look more like something from a medieval army than a modern state. Riders can cover up to 200 kilometers in a single day, battling sandstorms in the desert or blizzards in the mountains. The skill required is immense. A postal rider must know the seasonal migration patterns of families, predicting where a yurt might be pitched weeks or even months ahead. Without landmarks, they rely on memory, instinct, and the stamina of their horses. And when winter strikes with temperatures dropping to -50, the mail still has to get through, sometimes carrying not just letters but medicine, government documents, and life-saving supplies. What's remarkable is that, despite new technology, this system has hardly changed in 800 years. Today, postmen may carry a GPS device or a satellite phone, but they still depend on the same endurance and horsemanship that Mongol riders used under Genghis Khan. It is a living tradition, one that ties modern Mongolia to its imperial past in a way few countries can claim. Far from the green steppes and snow-capped mountains, the Gobi Desert hides one of the greatest natural museums in the world. Beneath its windswept dunes and rocky plains lies a treasure not of gold or silver, but of bones, fossils from an age when dinosaurs roamed Mongolia in vast numbers. This region is so rich in prehistoric remains that paleontologists call it the dinosaur graveyard. In the early 20th century, explorers made jaw-dropping discoveries here. They found not just skeletons but dinosaur eggs, entire nests perfectly preserved in the sand. Some even contained embryos, frozen in time for more than 70 million years. One of the most iconic finds is a fossil of two dinosaurs, a velociraptor and a protoceratops, locked in combat. Buried mid-battle by a sudden sandstorm, they were preserved in extraordinary detail, offering a glimpse into a dramatic moment that happened millions of years ago. What makes the Gobi so unique is its preservation. The dry climate and alkaline soil allow delicate details like feathers to survive, reshaping our understanding of these creatures. In fact, many discoveries here confirm that some dinosaurs were feathered, bridging the gap between reptiles and modern birds. New species are still unearthed every year, making Mongolia one of the most exciting frontiers in paleontology. In the vast Gobi Desert, where survival depends on the bond between humans and animals, one of Mongolia's most moving traditions takes place at dusk. It is called the camel crying ritual, and it is unlike anything you will see anywhere else in the world. Sometimes, after giving birth, a mother camel rejects her newborn calf. But Mongolian herders have developed a remarkable way to reunite mother and calf, not through force, but through music and song. The ritual begins by tying the calf near its mother, while a musician takes up the morin kur, the traditional horsehead fiddle. Its deep, haunting tones echo across the sands, imitating the rhythms of nature itself. At the same time, another herder gently strokes the camel's neck while singing words that plead with the mother to accept her baby. These songs are centuries old, passed down through generations, and often include phrases like, "Why do you turn away from your little one? Let it drink from your milk, for it is your gift of life." As the music rises and the voices carry across the desert wind, the camel often begins to soften. Witnesses describe tears forming in her eyes as she slowly leans toward her calf. In many cases, the mother finally relents, allowing the baby to nurse, saving its life in the most tender of reconciliations. The ritual is more than practical, it is symbolic. It shows the deep harmony Mongolians seek with the animals that sustain them. This bond is so profound that the tradition has gained international attention, even becoming the subject of an award-winning documentary, The Story of the Weeping Camel. UNESCO has since recognized the practice as part of Mongolia's intangible cultural heritage, a treasure that must be protected. And if camels can be moved to tears, you may wonder, how far does Mongolian hospitality go when it comes to human guests? In Mongolia, the idea of hospitality is not just a courtesy, it is a sacred duty. To refuse a guest is unthinkable, for in a land of brutal winters and endless steppes, survival has always depended on generosity. Visitors are not treated as strangers, but as blessings who bring fortune into the household. When you step into a gyr, the traditional felt home, you are welcomed with offerings that cannot be declined. The first drink you are handed is usually erag, fermented mare's milk, its sharp and sour taste often shocking to outsiders. Declining the cup is considered an insult, suggesting you do not trust the family's cleanliness or skill. The same goes for the endless plates of cheese curds, mutton, and other dairy products, which can be heavy for those unaccustomed to them, but are offered as a symbol of respect. For male guests, one of the highest honors is being presented with the head of a sheep. Every part is meant to be shared, including the eyes and brain. To refuse this offering is to reject not only the meal but the bond of friendship and loyalty it represents. This uncompromising generosity can feel overwhelming, but it comes from a history where every guest was precious. Even today, amid the modern buildings of Ulaanbaatar or in the remotest desert camp, this spirit endures. A Mongolian host will give their best food, their warmest clothes, and even their bed to ensure a guest's comfort. To them, this is not sacrifice, it is honor. We've journeyed across Mongolia, from the sweat-stained armor of Genghis Khan's warriors to the vast capital of Ulaanbaatar, and from nomadic yurts and walking marriages to the chilling tradition of bride kidnapping. We've seen golden eagles soaring with hunters and families gathering for Nadam to honor their warrior past. We've witnessed drinking rituals that can test your limits, tasted sheep's eye juice meant to cure hangovers, and even stepped into a home where hospitality might mean offering warmth in the most unexpected ways. What do you think is the most surprising daily reality for Mongolian families today? Share your thoughts below. We always look forward to hearing more from you. And don't forget to hit subscribe, turn on notifications bell so we can see you again in our next video. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I hope you enjoyed it. Your support truly means the world. Wishing you the best of luck. What if there was a country that owned the helicopter capital of the world, where gangs controlled the airstrips and where the favelas had better Wi-Fi than government buildings? Here, carnival parades never stop even in storms. Women propose with bamboo bracelets in the middle of the Amazon. A street turns into the world's largest World Cup art gallery. And even toilet paper plays by its own rules. This is Brazil uncensored. The real Brazil that tourists never see and locals take for granted. Rio de Janeiro, the most livable city in Brazil, top 100 tourist cities in the world, is the most unique city on the planet. For starters, it's the helicopter capital of the world. Yes, more choppers per person than even New York City. The wealthy don't just drive. They fly above traffic, zipping along unseen sky highways. But here's the bizarre catch. Pilots must avoid entire neighborhoods marked as no-fly zones because gangs armed with rifles below make the skies too dangerous. On the ground, the oddities continue. In Morro do Promontorio, residents invented their own money, the palafita, a community currency designed to keep cash flowing inside the favela. It works like a secret economy where discounts reward those who use it, proving that even marginalized neighborhoods can out-innovate the mainstream. Then there's the sound of the city. Funk karaoke. Born in the favelas, it blends Miami bass, hip-hop, and Afro-Brazilian rhythms into thunderous street parties called Bales Funks, drawing thousands into narrow alleys. They're outlawed, rated, and yet unstoppable, launching superstars like Anitta into the global spotlight. Even the word favela has a strange origin. The very first one, Morro da Providencia, was founded by war veterans in 1897 after the government abandoned them. They named it after a spiky plant from the battlefield, and the name stuck for all such communities. And today, tourists flock to explore them. Rosinaha and Vidigal now offer guided tours, art collectives, bars, even chic Airbnb rentals with jaw-dropping ocean views. But perhaps the strangest twist of all happened during the 2016 Olympics. Some favelas had better Wi-Fi than the official venues, thanks to grassroots networks outpacing government systems. Speaking of things that work differently in Brazil, Wait until you hear about carnival traditions so bizarre that even Brazilians can't explain why they exist. Rio's carnival isn't just glitter and samba. It's packed with traditions so unusual they sound made up. Before any parade begins, the Sambadrome undergoes a ceremonial washing. People dressed in white scatter flowers and water to cleanse the avenue of bad energy. This Afro-Brazilian religious ritual invites blessings for the performances ahead. During the parade, watch for the Mestre Sala and Porta Bandeira. This duo doesn't just wave a flag. They perform an elegant, almost medieval dance full of spins, bows, and courtly gestures. The flag can never touch the ground. If it does, their entire samba school loses points. The stories told during these parades, called enredos, get downright bizarre. Gas themes have honored condiments, ants, plastic surgery, even economic theories. Dancers have marched dressed as syringes, insects, and mathematical formulas. The parade never stops, not even in torrential rain. Umbrellas are banned. Sequins, feathers, and drums get soaked, yet thousands of performers march on as if nothing's happening. Many costumes are rented from samba schools, with some costing as much as a car. Ordinary people save all year just to wear one for those precious minutes on the parade route. Each school has exactly 65 to 75 minutes to perform, not a second more or less. This massive parade of thousands runs with military precision disguised as chaos. The drum section sometimes goes completely silent for a few beats in a move called paradinha. The sudden silence shocks the crowd before the rhythm explodes back to life. This deliberate disruption takes incredible coordination and nerve. But Brazil's relationship with rules and surprises doesn't end at Carnival. There are everyday social landmines that can destroy friendships faster than you can say. 3 topics in Brazil can explode friendships faster than dynamite: politics, football, and religion. Politics can spark debates so heated they sound like samba drums at full volume. Mention Lula da Silva or Jair Bolsonaro, and watch family Sunday lunches split into warring camps. Arguments get so intense that some families ban political talk entirely during meals. Football, or rather futebol, isn't just a sport here. It's a second religion. Say Corinthians to a Sao Paulo fan or Flamengo to someone from Rio, and you trigger rivalries so deep that marriages have ended over team loyalties. Entire neighborhoods paint themselves in team colors. Babies get registered as official fan club members before they can walk. Then there's actual religion. Brazil is the world's largest Catholic country, but it also has booming evangelical communities and Afro-Brazilian faiths like Candomblé and Umbanda, each practiced with fierce devotion. A casual remark like Neymar is overrated or Candomblé isn't really a religion can end relationships permanently. These conversational grenades exist because Brazilians don't do anything halfway. When they believe in something, they believe with their entire soul. This intensity extends to their laws too, including some regulations so strange that even locals forget they exist. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure. Did you know that the Brazilian flag is practically untouchable? Under Law 5700 from 1971, you can't wave one if it's torn or faded, and you definitely can't turn it into a fashion statement, tablecloth, or even a curtain. Break the rule and you're not just risking side-eye from patriots. You could actually face fines or jail time. And while Brazil's beaches might seem like the perfect place to bear it all, think twice. Public nudity is considered indecent exposure unless you're in an officially designated spot. You get caught elsewhere and you're looking at criminal charges. Light up a cigarette in a bar, restaurant, or enclosed public space, and you'll also run into trouble. Since Brazil enforces some of the strictest anti-smoking laws in the world, with even tobacco ads kept on a tight leash. But perhaps the oddest twist of all? Wearing a mask or disguise outside of carnival season could get you in hot water, as many cities strictly regulate the practice. This law dates back to concerns about criminals using masks to hide their identities during robberies. So that Halloween costume party better have proper permits. Plus, in some cities, you can be fined for honking your car horn except in emergencies. The fine? Up to $130 for unnecessary honking. These laws might seem extreme, but they're nothing compared to the everyday Brazilian habits that leave foreigners completely baffled, starting with what happens in the bathroom. You won't believe this, but Brazil is full of everyday habits that can leave outsiders completely baffled. First off, forget about personal space. In Brazil, it practically doesn't exist. People stand close, really close, when chatting. And a casual hand on your arm, a hug, or even a cheek kiss from someone you just met is totally normal. If you're from Northern Europe or East Asia, this might feel less like a conversation and more like an invasion. But in Brazil, it's simply a warm welcome. Now brace yourself for the bathroom surprise. In many parts of the country, flushing toilet paper is a recipe for disaster. The pipes can't handle it, so the polite and expected thing to do is toss your used paper into a little bin beside the toilet. And then there's the legendary saideira. This is the so-called one last drink before heading home from a bar or party. Except here's the twist. That last drink almost never means last. It's an excuse to stretch the night out, order another round, and keep laughing with friends until the early hours. Try leaving early and you might even seem rude. These everyday behaviors seem strange enough, but deep in the Amazon, some Brazilian communities have customs that flip Western ideas completely upside down. The Ticuna people, numbering over 50,000, are the largest indigenous group in the Brazilian Amazon, living along the Solimões River near the borders of Brazil, Peru, and Colombia. Their homes, built high on stilts from bamboo and palm leaves, are marvels of practicality. It's designed to withstand floods and keep out prowling wildlife while blending seamlessly with the surrounding jungle. Though they had no written language until the 20th century, the Ticuna preserved their heritage through visual symbols, stories, and rituals that continue to thrive today. Their culture is steeped in spirituality, with lunar cycles, ancestral spirits, and the rhythms of the forest guiding their way of life. Yet what astonishes outsiders most is their approach to love. It is the women who make the proposal. No diamond rings, no elaborate gestures. Just a simple, handmade bamboo bracelet, offered to the man they choose. If he accepts and keeps it, the union begins. If he politely returns it, no offense is taken, for love must always remain free. And if you think this marriage tradition is unusual, wait until you hear about Brazilian weddings where they auction off pieces of the bride's dress. At Brazilian weddings, a series of quirky traditions unfold that blend superstition, playfulness, and community spirit. One curious custom is the wedding dress auction game, where the bride's dress or veil is cut into tiny pieces and sold to female guests who believe the fragments bring good luck and love. A light-hearted fundraiser wrapped in folklore. Then there's the hidden shoe tradition, where bridesmaids scribble their names on the sole of the bride's shoe. And whichever name remains least smudged by the end of the night predicts the next to marry. Sweetness also takes a literal turn. Some brides secretly slip sugar into the groom's pocket before the ceremony, a gesture said to promise a happy and harmonious marriage. Plus, instead of tossing the garter, many receptions feature a midnight shoe auction. The bride's shoe is passed around, with guests placing money inside to help the couple begin married life with a financial boost. Some couples raise thousands of dollars this way, turning a simple shoe into a community investment in their future. To end the night, guests receive bem casados, bite-sized confections symbolizing unity and love. Legend says making a wish before eating one ensures it comes true, making this final treat both a dessert and a charm for good fortune. These traditional sweets are so important that some families have secret recipes passed down for generations, and professional bem casado makers can charge premium prices for weddings. But these wedding traditions pale in comparison to what happens when the World Cup comes around. In Brazil, the World Cup is a ritual that transforms an entire community into artists, builders, and keepers of traditions. On Rua Alzira Brandão, a small street tucked away in Rio de Janeiro, neighbors have been turning football into a living mural for nearly half a century. Since the 1980s, every 4 years, the sidewalks and roadways explode with color as locals paint legendary figures like Pelé, Romario, Ronaldo, and Neymar alongside national flags, banners, and words of pride. They even emblazoned the entrance with a giant white-lettered message: "Welcome to the most beautiful street in the world." What's astonishing is that no government office, corporate sponsor, or professional artist organizes it. Instead, the residents pool their own money, assign tasks among themselves, and pour hours into every brushstroke. Some families even carve wooden replicas of the World Cup trophy, lining the road with glittering monuments to Brazil's footballing soul. And while rain can wash the art away, the spirit never fades. Every World Cup, without fail, the community reunites to repaint. The street has become so famous that during World Cup years, thousands of visitors come to witness the transformation. Local TV stations broadcast live from the street, and international media often feature it in their World Cup coverage. Yet the residents refuse any commercialization, turning down offers from brands wanting to sponsor the paintings. Brazil is a country where celebration never takes a break. At the heart of it all is Carnival, the world's largest street party, which erupts every February with over 5 million people flooding Rio alone. Entire communities spend months preparing for 5 dazzling days of parades, glittering costumes, and hypnotic beats of samba and drums. Come June, Festa Junina sweeps across towns with rustic charm. People don straw hats, dance around bonfires, feast on corn cakes, sip hot sugarcane drinks, and even stage playful mock weddings, all in honor of the harvest and the spirit of togetherness. These mock weddings are complete with fake priests, dramatic proposals, and exaggerated family feuds, all performed for laughs and tradition. And if that weren't enough, the coastal state of Bahia offers something truly extraordinary on February 2nd, when thousands dressed in white gather by the sea for the Amanja festival. With flowers, mirrors, and combs set afloat as gifts to the goddess of the sea, the shoreline transforms into a sacred stage where Afro-Brazilian music mingles with the shimmer of sunlight on the waves. The offerings to Imanja are deeply personal. People write letters with their wishes, place them in small boats made of flowers, and watch as the ocean carries them away. If the offering sinks quickly, it's believed the goddess has accepted it. If it washes back to shore, you must try again next year. There's also the Bumba Mewboy Festival in the north, where communities spend months creating elaborate costumes to tell the story of a resurrected ox through dance, music, and theater. Each group guards their choreography secrets like state secrets. São Joaquim Market in Salvador, Bahia, operates like a portal between worlds. This century-old market sprawls across several blocks with over 250 stalls selling everything from fresh fish to spiritual protection. The market opens at dawn with an explosion of activity. Fishermen haul in their catches while candomblé priests purchase items for religious ceremonies. You'll find voodoo dolls next to vegetables, lucky charms beside lobsters, and holy water sold by the same person offering you fresh coconut. Fitas do Bonfim ribbons are everywhere. These colorful ribbons get tied around wrists with 3 knots, each knot representing a wish. The ribbon must fall off naturally for wishes to come true. Cutting it off brings bad luck. Some people wear dozens, their arms looking like rainbow sleeves. The vendors transform shopping into performance art. They wear traditional Bahian dress, flowing white skirts, elaborate head wraps, and pounds of beaded jewelry. Many spontaneously break into capoeira, moves, or samba steps while haggling over prices. They're not performing for tourists. This is genuine Bahian culture in action. The food section deserves its own documentary. Acarajé deep-fried black-eyed pea fritters get prepared in massive vats of denda palm oil. The smell alone could wake the dead. Moqueca, a seafood stew that's been made the same way since the 1600s, bubbles in clay pots that vendors claim improve the flavor. Here's the strangest part. Vendors might offer you a shot of cachaça before negotiating prices. It's not to get you drunk, it's supposed to bring good luck to the transaction. Refusing is considered bad form, but accepting means you're entering into a spiritual contract, not just a purchase. Copacabana Beach stretches for nearly 2.5 miles, but the real marvel isn't the sand or surf. It's the sidewalk. Those famous black and white wave patterns aren't random decorations. They're a massive mosaic masterpiece designed by Roberto Burle Marx, containing over 4 kilometers of hand-laid Portuguese stones that create an optical illusion of movement. The beach operates on a 24-hour schedule with distinct shifts. At 4 a.m., elderly swimmers called polar bears brave the cold Atlantic waters, believing early morning swims guarantee longevity. By 6 a.m., fitness fanatics turn the beach into an outdoor gym, using exercise stations that have been there since the 1970s. The beach has its own social geography. Post 9 attracts the LGBTQ community, Post 7 belongs to surfers, and Post 11 is celebrity territory where you might spot famous footballers playing footvolley, a Brazilian invention combining football and volleyball that's harder than both sports combined. Vendors on Copacabana have perfected beach commerce into an art form. They carry entire kitchens on their backs, portable grills for cheese, coolers for beverages, and even cocktail-making stations. Some vendors have worked the same stretch of beach for decades, knowing regular customers by name and drink preference. At night, Copacabana transforms into something else entirely. The beach becomes Rio's largest outdoor nightclub, with different sections playing different music. No official organization exists, it just happens naturally. Police largely leave it alone unless problems arise. The New Year's Eve celebration at Copacabana holds the world record for beach gatherings. Over 2 million people dress in white for good luck and jump 7 waves at midnight while making 7 wishes. The fireworks display costs over $2 million and launches from barges offshore, creating reflections that make the ocean look like liquid gold. But if you think Copacabana is impressive, wait until you hear about Brazil's capital city. There is a capital city in South America that looks like a giant airplane when seen from above. This is Brasilia, a place where every single street, square, and building was drawn on paper before being brought to life. By day, Brasilia exudes the gravitas of power. The Praça dos Três Poderes brings together the Supreme Court, the National Congress, and the Presidential Palace, projecting authority and solemnity. Nearby, the stunning cathedral rises like hands clasped in prayer, its glass spires glowing with elegance and devotion. The cathedral's design is so unique that it required special permission from the Vatican to be consecrated, as it broke traditional church architecture rules. But wait until the sun begins to set over Lake Paranoa. Because that's when Brasilia transforms. Suddenly, the rigid lines of the day melt into a rhythm of leisure. Locals paddle across the lake, ride bicycles along its shores, sip fresh coconut water in the parks, and lose themselves in the melodies of street musicians. Asa Norte and Asa Sul burst into life, their sidewalks spilling with laughter, samba beats, and the pulse of electronic sounds. The city's residential blocks, called superquadras, were designed so that no building could be taller than 6 stories, ensuring everyone had access to sunlight and green space. Each block was meant to be self-sufficient, with its own schools, shops, and parks. The result? A city where you can walk everywhere but nobody does because everything is too far apart. 18 meters below the hills of Minas Gerais lies Gruta do McQueen, a limestone cave system that doubles as one of the world's most exclusive concert venues. The cave stretches nearly 800 meters through 7 chambers, each with different acoustic properties. Chamber 3 creates a natural echo that lasts 7 seconds. Chamber 5 has acoustics so perfect that whispers from one end can be heard clearly at the other, 40 meters away. The temperature inside stays at exactly 18 degrees Celsius year-round, regardless of outside weather. This natural climate control, combined with 70% humidity, creates perfect conditions for acoustic instruments. Stalactites and stalagmites form natural architectural elements that would cost millions to replicate. Some formations ring like bells when gently struck, though touching them is now forbidden. The cave's natural architecture creates sound pockets where music seems to materialize from the rock itself. Getting to a concert here requires commitment. Guests descend steep stairs carved into rock, navigate narrow passages, and duck under low-hanging formations. High heels are banned. Evening gowns get dirty. Nobody cares because the experience transcends normal concerts. The venue only hosts about 20 performances yearly, with audiences limited to 100 people. Tickets sell out within minutes of release, often costing more than front-row seats at major venues. Brazil is so massive that it spans 4 time zones, though the entire country pretends only one exists for simplicity. The distance from the eastern coast to the western border is greater than the distance from London to Moscow. You could fit all of Western Europe inside Brazil and still have room for Japan. The Amazon River carries more water than the next 7 largest rivers combined. During the wet season, the river can reach 30 miles wide in some places. That's wider than the English Channel. Ocean-going ships can sail 2,300 miles inland, deeper into the continent than the distance from New York to Los Angeles. The Amazon rainforest produces 20% of the world's oxygen, earning its nickname lungs of the earth. But here's what nobody mentions. The forest also consumes almost all the oxygen it produces. The real benefit is its role in weather patterns and carbon storage, not oxygen production. The Pantanal, the world's largest tropical wetland, floods an area the size of Greece every year. During flood season, 80% of the land disappears underwater, creating a temporary inland sea filled with caimans, piranhas, and pink dolphins that scientists still don't fully understand. Brazil has more species of animals and plants than any other country. Scientists discover an average of 700 new species annually. At current rates, cataloging all of Brazil's biodiversity would take another 400 years, assuming no extinctions occur. The country contains 12% of all the world's fresh water. The Guarani Aquifer, hidden beneath Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay, holds enough water to supply the world's population for 200 years. Brazil's coastline stretches 4,600 miles, longer than the entire width of the continental United States. There are over 2,000 beaches, and visiting a new one every day would take 5.5 years. Brazil has been the world's largest coffee exporter for over 150 years, producing more than 35% of all coffee on Earth. The country ships out 5.7 million 60-kilogram bags annually, enough to make 400 billion cups. The cafezinho, meaning little coffee, is Brazil's social glue. These tiny cups of strong, sweet coffee appear everywhere. Banks offer them while you wait. Dentists serve them before appointments. Even police stations have dedicated coffee ladies who ensure nobody goes without. The coffee is always already sweetened. This isn't a choice, it's how coffee exists in Brazil. Asking for unsweetened coffee marks you as a troublesome foreigner. Refusing a cafezinho is social suicide. It's interpreted as rejecting friendship, refusing hospitality, or worse, suggesting you're too good for what's being offered. Brazilians have been known to drink 10 or more cafezinhos daily just to avoid offending anyone. What surprised you most about these Brazil realities? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to discover more shocking truths about countries that seem ordinary on the surface, make sure to subscribe for more eye-opening documentaries that reveal what guidebooks never dare to mention. Laos is the only landlocked country in Southeast Asia, yet it's known as the land of 4,000 islands. This place has strict rules every traveler should know, and beneath its soil lie thousands of unexploded bombs. At Lao markets, you'll find one-of-a-kind products, and even insects are turned into crispy dishes that surprise anyone who dares to taste them. In this video, I'll reveal 10 fascinating facts about Laos, from mysterious ancient sites to cultural traditions you won't believe still exist today. If you are planning to visit Laos, one of the most important things to understand is the system of taboos and cultural etiquette that locals follow closely. For instance, in Lao Buddhist society, monks are deeply respected, and women are strictly prohibited from touching them. Any physical contact could be seen as defiling, so items should be handed over through a male intermediary to show proper respect. Public displays of affection are another sensitive subject. Hugging, kissing, or other signs of intimacy in public are frowned upon, and in some cases can even lead to fines or deportation for foreigners. Even casual teasing or shaking hands inappropriately with women can cause serious trouble with local authorities. When visiting a Lao household, etiquette continues to play a major role. Sleeping with your head pointed toward the door is believed to bring bad luck, stomping your feet is thought to stir discord, and tapping bowls during meals is considered not only impolite but a way to invite evil spirits. Some of these customs may sound unusual to outsiders, but they reflect a deep cultural heritage. For example, many Lao people avoid shaving on Wednesdays or washing their hair on Thursdays, traditions passed down for generations. Interestingly, surveys show that up to 85% of Laotians even consider the horn on a car or motorbike the most unnecessary part of the vehicle. And speaking of cultural traditions, the story of Lao women and the challenges they face in marriage offers another surprising perspective on life in this country. When walking through ancient villages or bustling markets along the Mekong River, you will often see women wearing the traditional skirt known as the sin, a garment that hugs the hips and extends to the ankles. Unlike in many other parts of Asia, Lao women tend to embrace natural beauty remedies, such as saffron and coconut oil, rather than expensive cosmetics. Their gentle demeanor and modesty have long been admired, with shyness and composure often considered marks of grace. As many as 35% of women aged 18 to 30 have never been married. The government has also introduced increasingly strict rules to limit marriages between foreigners and Lao women. A foreigner who wishes to marry a Lao woman must live in the country for at least 3 consecutive months, submit detailed personal documents, and undergo a lengthy approval process that can last up to a year. Even after completing all requirements, the government still reserves the right to deny permission for the marriage. These regulations may sound harsh, but they are not arbitrary. They were introduced to prevent human exchange, which had previously exploited loopholes in the law to send Lao women to other countries, including China, Malaysia, and Thailand. While marriage customs show us one side of Lao resilience, the history of the Lao people during times of war reveals an even deeper strength of spirit. To put that into perspective, a U.S. aircraft bombed Laos approximately every 8 minutes, day and night, for 9 years. On average, each citizen had to endure the equivalent of over 100 bombs falling on them personally. Even today, an estimated 80 million unexploded bombs remain scattered across the country, posing daily dangers to farmers, children, and entire communities. Despite this devastating history, the people of Laos have shown remarkable endurance. Many villagers still farm land that has been partially cleared of unexploded ordnance, while organizations such as the Mines Advisory Group and the Lao National Regulatory Authority continue the painstaking work of bomb removal. Currently, over 3,000 square kilometers of land in Laos remain contaminated, and at current clearance rates, it could take decades to make the country completely safe. If you've watched this far, we're thrilled to know you enjoyed the video. If so, don't forget to take 5 seconds to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And now, let's move on to where you can find goods unlike anywhere else in the world. Laos may appear quiet and traditional on the surface, but some of its markets reveal a very different side of local life. One of the most intriguing is the Nam Can border market, where trade takes place between Vietnam and Laos. Many of the goods come directly from highland communities that hunt, gather, or prepare them by hand. Here, vegetables are not always the standard produce you might expect. Instead, shoppers can find wild tobacco plants used in salads or cooked with black chicken, sometimes even believed to have medicinal benefits. For just a couple of dollars, you can purchase wild rats, roasted mountain squirrels, or bamboo worms, delicacies in certain parts of Laos. Wasp nests, porcupine quills, and even porcupine stomachs are also available. Meat here is also surprisingly affordable. Beef, for instance, can cost around $5.50 per kilogram, with prices sometimes dropping as low as $3.50 depending on supply. Alongside the unusual meats, visitors may also come across traditional pastries, exotic spices such as fresh maken, and rare medicinal woods. Of course, it is important to note that many of these goods cannot legally cross border checkpoints. Tourists who try to carry certain items may face confiscation or fines. Okay, be honest, would you dare to try any of these unusual delicacies from the Nam Can market? Drop the name of the one that catches your eye in the comments below. And while these markets show us the unusual side of daily life, the spiritual traditions of Laos reveal something even deeper about the values of its people. To understand Laos, one must understand its relationship with Buddhism. The country is home to nearly 4,800 temples and more than 26,000 monks, including both fully ordained monks and novices. Buddhism is not only the state religion but also the framework for daily life, and this becomes most visible in the practice of making offerings. Every morning, at sunrise, lines of monks walk barefoot through the streets to collect alms. This practice, known as tak bat, is not only a way for monks to sustain themselves but also a spiritual exchange. Villagers wait quietly with small portions of sticky rice or cooked dishes. When they place food in the monks' bowls, they bow respectfully, sometimes pouring water on the ground as a symbolic act of transferring merit to ancestors. There are also strict rules governing offerings. According to Buddhist precepts, devotees may only give prepared food, never raw rice or fresh vegetables. Monks are not allowed to cook, nor can they accept food after midday. They are prohibited from making eye contact with devotees, regardless of age or gender, emphasizing humility and detachment. During the 3 months of Buddhist Lent, known as Vasa, monks remain in temples to focus on meditation and scripture study. For lay people, this is a time to avoid major life changes such as weddings or building new homes, and many choose to give up alcohol and smoking as acts of devotion. And when it comes to Lao cuisine, it's bursting with bold flavors and full of surprises most outsiders would never see coming. The national dish, known as larb, is a type of meat salad prepared with finely minced chicken, beef, or fish mixed with toasted rice powder, lime juice, chilies, and fresh herbs. Often eaten wrapped in lettuce or mint leaves, it delivers a refreshing yet complex balance of sour, spicy, and nutty flavors. Larb was once an essential part of Laos' cultural heritage, highlighting its role in social gatherings and family meals. Another favorite is khao piek sen, a comforting noodle soup made with fresh hand-pulled rice noodles. The broth, simmered for hours with bones and aromatic herbs, has a mild sweetness that pairs beautifully with bean sprouts, lime, and fried shallots. For many Laotians, this is the dish that represents home cooking at its best. But Lao cuisine also ventures into territory that surprises many visitors. Insects such as bamboo worms and crickets are often freed until crispy and enjoyed as snacks rich in protein. While this might be unusual to outsiders, edible insects are sustainable, nutritious, and deeply tied to local diets across Southeast Asia. Then there is the more adventurous buffalo blood soup, made from fresh buffalo blood mixed with spices like turmeric, ginger, and chili. Its intense flavor and striking red appearance may be challenging for foreigners, but it remains a traditional dish in rural areas. Perhaps the most iconic dish of all is tam mek hoon, better known as green papaya salad. Shredded papaya is mixed with chili, garlic, fish sauce, and palm sugar, creating a flavor that is sweet, sour, spicy, and crunchy all at once. Paired with sticky rice or grilled meat, it is not only a beloved food but a cultural symbol of hospitality and community. But there's one food and drink duo that defines Laos. Ready to see it? Sticky rice is more than just a staple in Laos, it is the foundation of nearly every meal. The average Laotian consumes about 171 kilograms of sticky rice per year, the highest per capita consumption in the world. Families steam it in bamboo baskets, eat it with their hands, and serve it alongside nearly every dish from grilled meats to spicy papaya salad. For Lao people, eating sticky rice is not just about nourishment, it is about identity. They even call themselves Luk Kao Niao, which means children of sticky rice. But sticky rice is not the only thing uniting Lao tables. Beer Lao, the country's national beer, has become a cultural icon. Brewed with German hops and yeast, Beer Lao stands out because it incorporates locally grown jasmine rice, which gives it a delicate aroma and smooth finish. International publications such as CNN Travel and BBC Travel have even described it as one of the best beers in the world, while Time magazine once ranked it among Asia's most beloved beverages. The combination of sticky rice and Beer Lao defines many social gatherings. Whether it is a village festival, a family celebration, or a casual evening by the Mekong River, it is common to see people eating grilled meat, scooping sticky rice by hand, and toasting with bottles of Beer Lao. What surprises many visitors is how early drinking habits start in Laos. While stories of young people sipping beer are often exaggerated, social tolerance of alcohol is much more relaxed than in many other countries. Beer Lao has also become a source of national pride abroad. It is now exported to around 20 countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia. For a relatively small nation, this success has turned Beer Lao into both an economic asset and a cultural ambassador, symbolizing Laos's ability to preserve tradition while also reaching the global stage. Food brings people together, but Laos takes celebration to a whole new level. One of the most famous celebrations is Baun Pi Mai, the Lao New Year, held every April. This 3-day festival is both sacred and playful. On the first day, families clean their homes to sweep away bad luck. On the second day, people pour water over Buddha statues and temples, symbolizing purification and renewal. But perhaps the most memorable part for visitors is the water splashing in the streets. Much like Thailand's Songkran, locals joyfully drench each other with buckets, hoses, and water guns. Beyond the fun, the act carries deep meaning. It washes away misfortune and invites blessings for the new year. Another remarkable event is the Elephant Festival in Sayaburi Province. Known as the land of a million elephants, Laos today has fewer than 1,000 elephants, yet they remain an enduring national symbol. Since 2007, the Elephant Festival has celebrated this heritage with parades, feeding rituals, and performances showcasing the animal's intelligence. Conservation groups also use the festival to raise awareness about protecting these endangered creatures. In October, Bauno Ke Fansa marks the end of the Buddhist Lent. This is one of the most spiritual times of year. In Luang Prabang, monks chant prayers while villagers release thousands of lanterns onto the Mekong River, creating a golden glow against the night sky. Dragon boat races add excitement, with brightly painted boats competing for victory to the cheers of massive crowds. It is a festival that combines solemn devotion with joyful community celebration. That Luang Festival in Vientiane is perhaps the most sacred of all Lao festivals. Centered around the Golden That Luang Stupa, which is considered the most important religious monument in Laos, this event draws pilgrims from across the country. For 3 days in November, people dressed in traditional clothing join candlelit processions, offer alms, and participate in cultural performances. For Laotians, attending the That Luang Festival is not just a religious duty but also a national expression of unity. One of the most unique and dramatic celebrations is Baun Bang Phai, or the Rocket Festival, held in May or June. Villages launch massive handmade rockets, some several meters long, into the sky. Traditionally, this ritual is a way to call for rain before the rice planting season. The explosions are loud, colorful, and joyful, accompanied by parades, music, and folk dances. But it is not only fun. Farmers believe the success of the rockets influences the year's harvest. Together, these festivals reveal the rhythm of life in Laos, deeply spiritual yet infused with playfulness, reverence balanced by joy. For travelers, timing a visit to coincide with one of these celebrations is one of the best ways to experience the warmth, hospitality, and cultural richness of the Lao people. Laos is a land full of mystery, and perhaps nothing embodies this more than the Plain of Jars, one of the country's most enigmatic archaeological sites. Located in Chiangkhong Province, this UNESCO World Heritage Site features thousands of giant stone jars scattered across the landscape. Some jars are only a meter tall, while others reach up to 3.5 meters and weigh several tons. What puzzles archaeologists is not just their sheer size but their purpose and origin. The jars are estimated to date back at least 2,500 years. Some researchers believe they were used as funerary urns, as burial goods have been discovered nearby. Others suggest they stored water during the dry season, while another theory is that they held rice wine for victory celebrations in ancient kingdoms. What adds to the mystery is that most jars have no lids, and it remains unclear how they were transported to the plateau. Theories abound, but no definitive answer has been found, keeping the site shrouded in intrigue. Today, 3 major jar sites are open to visitors around Phon Savan town, with more than 400 jars accessible. Yet many areas remain off-limits due to the presence of unexploded ordnance left over from the U.S. bombing campaign in the 1960s and 70s. Equally fascinating are the Viangshi Caves in Hua Phan Province. This massive system of nearly 500 limestone caves became the base of the Pathet Lao revolutionary forces during the Vietnam War era. From 1964 to 1973, as U.S. bombs rained across Laos, an estimated 23,000 people lived inside these caves. They built a hidden city underground, complete with schools, hospitals, markets, bakeries, and even a theater. Walking through the caves today, visitors can see command centers, meeting halls, and living quarters that were once bustling with life. Audio tours recount stories of resilience, describing how families only left the caves at night to tend fields under cover of darkness. The Viangshi Caves are not only a historical site but also a monument to the endurance of the Lao people in the face of relentless adversity. What makes both the Plain of Jars and the Viangshi Caves so compelling is the way they connect different layers of Lao history. One site reaches back into the prehistoric past with mysteries still unsolved, while the other represents recent struggles that shaped modern Laos. Together, they tell a story of a country that has endured, adapted, and preserved its identity despite challenges spanning millennia. Along with its temples and serene landscapes, Laos also carries a more complicated legacy, the Golden Triangle. This term refers to the mountainous border region where Laos meets Myanmar and Thailand, at the confluence of the Mekong and Rook rivers. For decades, this remote area was one of the world's largest producers of illicit crops and illegal substances. The name Golden Triangle was coined by the CIA in the 1950s, during a time when the region's rugged terrain and limited government control made it ideal for the cultivation of poppies. By the 1970s, the area was producing more than 2,500 tons of banned raw materials annually, accounting for as much as three-quarters of the global supply. Laos, particularly its northern provinces, played a crucial role in this trade. The most infamous figure linked to the Golden Triangle was Kun Sa, who built a powerful network based in Myanmar but whose influence stretched across borders, including into Laos. At his peak in the 1980s, Kun Se controlled vast territories and even operated a personal army. His empire flourished in part because of the inaccessibility of the terrain and the absence of strong central government authority in the region. By the 1990s, however, governments in Laos, Thailand, and Myanmar began coordinated efforts to suppress the illicit trade. These campaigns combined military operations with crop substitution programs, encouraging farmers to grow coffee, tea, and maize. In Laos, these programs gradually reduced the cultivation of illegal crops, though challenges remain in remote areas. Today, the Golden Triangle has undergone a remarkable transformation. Instead of being notorious for trafficking activities, parts of the Laos side have been redeveloped into special economic zones and tourist destinations. In Hue Zai, a town located on the Mekong opposite Thailand's Chiang Khong, visitors can take boat tours along the river, explore nearby national parks, and learn about the region's complex past. Still, the history of the Golden Triangle is not forgotten. Museums and local guides often recount stories of the region's troubled decades, explaining how the illicit trade shaped not only the economy but also the geopolitics of Southeast Asia. For Laos, the challenge has been turning a painful legacy into opportunities for sustainable development. Coffee and tea plantations in the highlands are now gaining international recognition. We've now explored 10 fascinating facts about Laos that reveal a country both mysterious and deeply human. From cultural taboos that shape daily life, to the grace of Lao women navigating tradition and modern law, to the resilience of a people who endured more bombs than any other nation in history, Laos shows us strength in unexpected ways. What these 10 stories remind us is that Laos is not just a destination, it is a living mosaic of history, faith, resilience, and celebration. So what do you find the most fascinating about Laos? Let me know in the comments. Was it the plain of jars, the spiritual rituals, or maybe the unusual market goods? We always look forward to hearing more from you. And don't forget to hit subscribe, turn on notifications bell so we can see you again in our next video. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I hope you enjoyed it. Your support truly means the world. Wishing you the best of luck. We are so glad you are with us today. Please leave a comment, like the video to support us, and subscribe for more.